Good.
Are you all set to go? Okay, let's call the April 23rd, 2013 Finance Advisory Audit Committee meeting to order. Item number 1 is roll call.
Yes, sir. Chair Long-Shu,
Here.
Vice Chair Elise Ryan. Here. Committee Member Cheryl Miller.
Here.
Committee Member Virginia Standish. Here. Committee Member Ken Johnson.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Cheryl, you have a second?
A second.
Second by Virginia. Discussion?
Yeah, should I do this now, if I have a voting conflict, or wait
I think you
until
could.
that item?
Yeah, you can add it in.
I'll do it.
What is that?
It's just, well, what it is if you have a voting conflict on an item, you're supposed to fill out this form. And, you know, this is what, basically, it just says, that my husband, John Ryan, is the supervisor of the Water Control District. The committee plans to review bid number 2013-001 gravel road grading and vegetation services. The Loxahatchee Groves Water Control District has submitted a proposal as a vendor for this bid. So I will not be voting on that item, and I need to, I'm abstaining from voting, and I just, this I need to turn into the secretary, and she will include it with the minutes of the next meeting.
With that amendment to the agenda that we have just discussed, all those in favor saying aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 2, consent agenda. Do we have the approval for February 25th, 2013 minutes of the meeting?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion by Cheryl. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ken. And any discussion?
Well, since Ken didn't bring it, I wasn't there, but I noticed it says Vice Chair Elise Ryan and Committee Member Ken Johnson were absent. But then there's a whole bunch of items of discussion that Johnson has stated, so that must be a mistake.
In February?
He came
Yeah.
in late.
He
Oh,
came in late.
Okay, all right, so you might, I mean, should we change the wording of that? 'Cause
He's got it in here. He comes in after the consent agenda at the bottom of
okay.
page 1 of those minutes. It
you
says
got it
Member
in here.
Johnson
Oh,
entered the
Member
meeting.
Johnson, I see it, okay.
So really going to clarify that on the first paragraph, because you said committee member Ken Johnson was absent.
Well, he was absent when we did the roll call.
Oh, okay.
What we do is, when he entered the meeting, we reflect he comes in at that point. Okay?
I got me on tape.
Video.
Yeah, video, right.
Any other comments and discussion regarding the minute? No question? Saying none, all those in favor saying aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Let's see, this is the second set of minutes. Do you have a motion to approve the minutes for March 25th, 2013 meeting?
I'll move it, I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion by Elise, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Cheryl. Discussion? Seeing none? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Presentation. Comprehensive annual financial report. Mr. Morton. Peter.
Good evening, and thank you for moving your meeting for me. I had a nonprofit meeting last night, and I'm the chairman, and we only meet quarterly, so it would have gone badly if I wasn't there. I saw you went over the report last week, so I'll just briefly go over it. In case you have any questions, you can stop me, and then I'll go on to the management letter, which you didn't have And the first section is the introductory section, and this is one of the few beneficial parts that actually have come from accounting standards. It's kind of the management discussion analysis and introductory section are kind of the only parts of it that are really written in English that anybody can read and understand. But moving on to page 1 is our auditor's opinion. And it is an unqualified opinion, or what is often called a clean opinion. And what that means is that we do the audit and we examine the records based on auditing standards, and then we issue an opinion that says management's financial statements are fairly presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting standards. And what that means is if you pick up this town's statements and you pick up another town's statements, they're going to be somewhat comparable if they're judged on the same standards. And then on pages 3 through 11 is the management discussion analysis, and this is kind of the whole other 50 pages rolled into 10 pages that's written in English. So you can really do some analysis in there and it's understandable. And then 12 and 13 are your entity-wide statements, and these statements are basically on a full accrual basis, which means we would have all the assets and all the liabilities, kind of similar to what a for-profit business would have. And then pages 14 and 15 are your governmental statements, and this is on the budgetary basis or the governmental accounting basis. And so these statements align with the budget documents as far as how you report income and expenses. And then on page 16 through 18 are your enterprise sanitation funds. And starting on page 19 are the notes to the statement, and this just kind of gives more detail to the numbers. And then on page 29, there's just a brief description of some new accounting announcements that are coming up, and really, none of these are really going to have a significant impact on the town's financial statements, which is a good thing.
I have a question on page 28. Interlocal agreements with Palm Beach County. What are those two? I apologize. What are our interlocal agreements with Palm Beach County?
For building inspections
For,
and.
excuse me?
Building inspections and permitting.
Okay, that's when you mean land development services, you're for zoning and, okay, that threw me off on the land development, it could be so many things, so, okay, so that's,
That agreement goes back to inception.
Well, it was amended in 2011,
okay, I just wanted to,
Richmond Town Development Plan and Zoning, and zoning, yeah.
so the project across the street, this is the two interlocal agreements that monitor the building across the street.
They inspect.
Any questions?
Okay, and then pages 31 and 32 present the general fund and the transportation special revenue fund budget actual comparisons.
Got a question for you. In the first, on page 31, the 63 of 256, contributions from private sources, what would that be?
That was
That was the insurance
from
payment
the title insurance.
for 148 culvert.
For the culvert?
Culvert.
Oh, the 148th culvert.
I just have one more question regarding page 28. If we're discussing interlocal agreements with Palm Beach County, why would we not reference our interlocal agreement with the water district? I'm just trying to understand. My understanding, we have an interlocal agreement with Wasatch Water Control District?
When did
The town rescinded the first one they had with them.
One of them expired.
And the second one, on the town roads, I don't think we,
Yes, sir.
I don't know that we got them renewed.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
They're all
they're
renewed.
current.
They're all current.
They're all
We had
right,
lots
they're
of,
just not.
So I'm just trying, for purposes of this statement, I'm just trying to keep up with this report is as of September 30th, 2012.
I guess we just, I would say it probably belongs in there.
Okay, I'm just thinking, just,
I don't know that
okay.
it's been in any of them.
no, it never has. We don't have the agreement with the engineering, and we don't have the agreement with the law firms, and none of the
So I'm just
agreements.
curious, how do you select, just as a matter of knowledge?
This note is usually the more longer term ones that are larger dollar amounts.
Okay, longer term, okay.
Whereas I think the
District
water
is 1
district
year.
is usually
1 year.
that keeps getting.
1 year and it has to be renewed. But ours is, our contract's not in there. But we're not in an agreement.
Yeah, it
Your
is.
contract is in there.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, you are. Page 28.
Oh, I am.
Yeah.
But I don't have a problem with it. either.
No, I'm just for, again, for educational purpose, understanding the format, which commitments.
Yeah, it's usually the longer, more than 1 year. Or if it's, or a large dollar amount.
Okay, that's just a good point of education.
Yeah, there are more that are not mentioned in the environment.
That's why I was asking what the criteria for the, obviously he's following the
To
format.
tailor, land resource management, you know, council, so we just added that one. There's a whole ton of other.
Yeah, Terry, you put your thing.
That's the majority.
Anything else, Jen?
It's just-
Go ahead, Terry.
Okay, any other questions on the budgetary statements? Okay, then the next section is the statistical section, and this is all management's schedule. We didn't really ought to be more time at all, other than trying to make sure it adds up. Then page 51 and 52 is our report on internal control and on compliance laws, regulations, and there were no exceptions noted in that report.
Terry, on page 55, at the very top, where it says matters inconsequential to the financial statements, that first sentence there, there's something wrong with it. It needs to be amended to be clear. It says the auditor may, based on professional judgment, report the following matters that have an inconsequential to the financial statements. Then you need another word in there, or are, or change the have to are.
There's an effect missing.
Yes.
Consequential effect.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's the problem we read these. We read 30 of these, and so we just automatically insert the word.
You read it.
You read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you read it like you wrote it, and you don't pick up a typo. Sure. That happens.
Okay, so and starting on page 53 to 56 is that this letter is required by the rules of the Auditor General of the state of Florida. And we have 2 comments in here, but even if we didn't have any comments, it would still take 5 pages to say we didn't have any comments. This whole format's done by him, and we have to use his wording. And so the first comment on page 54 is on the gas tax proceeds. And I think this was addressed at the last town meeting.
Was it?
Was it? Were you there?
I left early. It's too exciting for me.
So Terry, so that means we didn't recognize the capital expenditure for 2012 in our financials.
Yes.
Yes or no?
I know you expensed it instead of capitalizing it.
So we didn't capitalize it because of this.
Wait. Why didn't we capitalize it?
We couldn't get an opinion from the town attorney.
This was for the North Road Ocean, right?
We
Okay,
can't he advised we can't capitalize a road that the town doesn't own.
But I also thought that, we couldn't capitalize. I'm not clear on who had an issue with what, because basically, are you saying you capitalized it, or are you saying you expensed it?
We expensed it,
You expensed it,
only
Because-
because we could not capitalize.
okay, and so now Terry's saying
Well, that's what.
you should have capitalized it, or,
Well, I think Terry's saying that he recommends to us that you obtain guidance from the town attorney,
okay, well, yeah.
or go to the state auditor general or attorney general and get an opinion. We were unsuccessful at obtaining an opinion from the town attorney. He would not put it in writing. And the town council, to the best of our knowledge, is not instructed, or the attorney that drafted, nor instructed a discussion with the state attorney or the auditor general. So we didn't have an answer but to expense. The issue is we did use gas tax money.
You got a question?
I just wanted to know, I want to ask Terry, I know even leases, long-term, those are capitalized, and those are capitalized too. So my question is not necessarily you have to own it, because even leases are capitalized.
But when you capitalize a lease, it's the way the lease is worded, because of the term of the lease, and there's usually a bargain purchase option. It's just as if you did own the asset.
I think if you have a long-term lease, you capitalize it, not necessarily you have to buy it, you don't have any option on it, you just, because it's a capital lease, you capitalize it.
Yeah, but there's an accounting standard that determines when it's a capital lease, and you have to meet like 5 or 6 criteria in order for it to be not a capital lease. Not all long-term leases are going to be a capital lease.
Yeah, I understand, I just wanted to know that there are assets that are not owned and are capitalized.
So the impact on the town is that we expend, how much money was that for the?
100 and something.
40,000.
We didn't pay
Yeah,
140,
it was
but that
less than
was
that.
132.
So last year, we expended $100 and something thousand unexpectedly.
Well, you knew you were going to spend it.
Yeah.
Huh?
It was
We
it
just
was
took
it
that.
was a budgeted expense.
I know, we expended it, but if we capitalize it, it would not be an expense.
Well, it would still be an expense in the fund level statements.
But our asset went down by that much, so.
In the entity-wide statements, but not in the transportation fund.
Okay, so that means there's no impact, so why, what is the big thing to write?
Well, our comment is that the town management told us they weren't sure if that expenditure met the requirements of the gas tax law or not. So that's a different issue as far as whether or not it should be capitalized. That's whether you're allowed to
Yeah.
use that money for it.
And the attorney was is unable to give an opinion, or just
I
will
didn't
not?
personally speak to the attorney, but I believe Mr. Cutney and Ms. Underwood did have a conference call with the attorney.
So is he unable to, or he will not?
Or did you pay his bill?
He pay his bill.
You're gonna pay his bill.
You
You're gonna collect.
We
Well,
paid it.
But he just,
Was it not because you're not directed to give an opinion, or was it?
Mark?
We didn't ask him for an opinion. We asked him for a verbal opinion, and he indicated that he could not, the town did not own the road, and therefore he couldn't justify it. But as far as asking
He
him,
couldn't
at
justify
that
the
point,
expenditure, or the,
That's right.
but what about the town paid for collecting canal, the town, didn't they?
No.
No, they
No.
paid, only North Road?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So far.
Only North Road.
But you are anticipating paying for collecting canal and being put in the same situation.
no. We're not intending to do that. We're gonna try to make sure we have all our ducks in a row before we do that.
Get the ownership transfer first.
That's correct. Now, in the past, we have asked the town attorney to provide a written opinion, and he has not agreed to do so.
Is that him individually or his firm?
Well, do you use gas tax? I hate to.
I think it's him, but I can't say it's the firm, he didn't really,
Well, sometimes the firm will issue a letter saying they will not.
yeah, no.
Well, we've only got one opinion from the firm.
Okay.
Mr. Morton asked, because we were capitalizing the road as an asset when we did the project, and at the time of the audit, Terry asked me to talk to the attorney because he needed something from him, from the, the legal part of it, to capitalize it, and I did talk to Mike about it twice. At first, he said no. Then the second time I said, Terry needs to finalize the audit, have you thought about it some more? And he advised that he can't write anything down because the town doesn't own the road, so we can't capitalize something, or it's not an asset of the road. So I just reported to Terry that Mike wouldn't be providing the documentation that was needed. So that's how it came about. When we did the F road patch, we didn't do it with a contractor. We reimbursed the district for that expense. It's a little different. We haven't done collecting canal, but the North Road was the first road that the town entered into the agreement directly with the contractor to do the
So
work.
as it sits now, it was taken just out of the general fund? Is
No,
that-
it's taken out of gas tax. That's why the response is either, because my understanding was the attorney was going to be working with the district's attorney and the district board of supervisors to have that segment of the road quick deeded to the town,
Oh, okay.
which would mitigate the issue and
Okay.
make it corrected.
Yeah,
If that does not occur within this period being ending September 30th, then general fund would reimburse the gas tax.
where does that stand?
So it'll be another journal entry.
Where does that stand?
Well, both sets of
The-
attorneys
the
are
roads
working,
turned
on it. No,
It was,
hasn't been happening as fast as we would like.
Yeah.
I think that was actually Mike's recommendation that we can remedy this particular item through the quick title.
It's quit, QUIT is what it is, quit claim.
Quick claim to the town.
Yeah, that says quick, but it's QUIT. For a quit claim, you're quitting your claim, you're saying, I have no claim. Yeah, anyway.
Okay,
uh,
spell check works.
Spell check works.
Not grammatical.
But it is a quit claim. Okay, so basically it can be remedied by
One of those two.
just turning the road over to town.
Turn the road
Yeah.
over or transfer the money from general fund over to gas tax.
Okay,
And that was the response.
Okay, no other question on that? And the only other comment we had was on page 55. And again, this is required by the Auditor General, otherwise we wouldn't have put in here the fact that your budget was over by $640.
That was my fault entirely. There was an invoice that came in for
At the bottom of page
advertisement
55.
that came in after, and I thought we'd already got all the invoices. It was an advertisement, $700, which threw me over, but I'd already adjusted the budget at the last meeting of November.
So if our attorney responded to the opinion request on a timely manner, and then Bill didn't make something, so we should have a clean management letter, which has no finding. Is it correct?
What?
I mean, if our attorney gave us the opinion regarding the gas tax on time, that would not be an issue.
So if he had said you could have capitalized it.
Yeah. And then it wouldn't be a finding.
That's correct.
we could have capitalized it, but don't we have the issue of the comprehensive plan, if we want to capitalize it, or?
We were using not 50 cent money, but 60
So,
cent.
as long as you're using 6
We were using the other one.
Okay, yeah.
We were trying to cut.
Okay.
Okay, and I also handed out this letter, and this is another letter that's required by professional standards and really doesn't, there weren't any findings or issues with it, so it doesn't, it's just mainly just accounting verbiage. And then Schedule 1 is the adjusting entries we had proposed during the audit. And then Schedule 2 is the management representation letter, and that's the letter that management gives us as part of the audit process, basically saying that they have ownership of the financial statements.
We appreciate it.
Lon? There was somewhere in the report that it mentioned that there was an emergency fund deficiency. Is there something that we're expected to have, something in place for?
I think in our budget, we have fiscal policy where we've set a fund balance reserve.
For
But-
emergency? I thought it was a negative comment by the auditor stating that that was an issue.
Was that in the management letter? Do you remember where it was in the report?
It was early on, I think.
I don't know where that one is, if there is one. But I mean, we do have a policy just for that instance.
Okay.
Any other questions for Terry? Go ahead.
That's the end of my report.
You done? Thank you. Do we have any questions for the auditor?
And again, I guess the only thing, when you, number 20, item 20, when you refer to, again, any adjustments may be required due to possible non-compliance. That's a corrected matter we've previously discussed. And for the future coming year, we hope not to have that issue because we're hoping to own the roads. Is that what I'm understanding?
No, this has got to be resolved before September 30th, or we transfer money over.
Okay.
We get that.
Just want to make sure I understand.
It's a either or.
Okay.
And also, don't forget that, did we receive the certificate of excellence that you achievement?
Yes.
But can you explain to them what is this for?
Okay, that's on page,
Roman
ID.
numeral 4.
Roman numeral 4, this, every year this report gets sent up to Chicago, and the Governmental Finance Officers Association sends a report out to one person on staff and usually 2 CPAs, either government or private practice, and they go through about a 30-page checklist and grade the audit report. And as long as it passes all 3 of those people's checklists, you get awarded this certificate of achievement for excellence in national reporting.
And they always give you a checklist of what things you did wrong.
I did find one other point I wanted to make sure. A member of the public, I think on item 32.
We're going back to the schedule.
Yes, no, the letter.
Yeah, the schedule.
Okay, that's called the schedule.
What's on page?
Item 32, and I just want to confirm, you were talking about the town, were you referring to the town has not met any of the following financial emergency conditions? Is that what you were asking about? The way it sounds like he's saying, and I just want to make sure I understand it correctly, you're saying that the town did not fall into any shortcomings.
Yeah, and the town is saying, this letter's coming from the town
Right.
to us, so they're telling us that these things have not occurred.
Right, so there have been no emergency shortcomings is what, yeah.
There's a big blacklist in the governor's office, the Joint Legislative Committee produces every year. You know, I guess it comes out of the Auditor General's office. And if you're in bad financial condition, you get on that list, and there are some conditions you have to meet in order to become a financial emergency. We're not anywhere near that.
So we're paying our bills.
I think that here maybe kind of confusing to the audience because it said had not met any of the conditions. So it's like kind of negative tone. So actually, the condition did not exist there. We are okay. That's why that.
What I thought it was in reference to, the water control district has an emergency fund if there's a catastrophe. And it sounded to me, reading it, that we didn't have that in place, so we were negligent.
We have that in place, but it's not a requirement.
But the condition did not warrant us calling an emergency.
Good.
Okay, any other questions for me? Okay, congratulate the town to get another year of achievement of excellence in reporting. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Bella.
Yes, thank you, Pearl.
Thank you, Perla. It's Perla we need to thank.
Thank you,
Yes.
Perla.
And then Mark.
You don't get that at home, do
Yes,
you?
you do.
Yes, you do.
I know there are a lot of.
I almost was terminated about that $672 expense.
Really?
He had to think about it long and hard. He said normal employees, he would have terminated them on the spot.
Really?
And he's taken that into consideration.
You taking your medicine?
That's what.
You should have said
You
no
think-
dinner for you.
I'm not teasing, that's what I was told.
Yes, I know. You should have said no dinner, Bill.
I don't cook.
No cooking.
That was serious, that wasn't.
Way to work
You make
for.
good reservations, I hope.
Yeah, right.
And also another comment made by our auditor is that we have received an unqualified opinion that means our financials
Oh, very good.
are presented. Everything's in good shape, nothing anything. So the vice chair will report to the council and we will probably.
Well, I think the auditor's gonna report on the audit.
Are you coming?
Yes.
Okay.
But when we get into the subject, since you brought it up, of who's gonna report, you know, it's open for anybody here to report, right? If one's not going to. I mean, do we wanna rotate it? I'm happy to do it, but.
No, you're doing fine.
Ken?
Yeah.
Ken, you're always there.
Well, you'll be on TV.
All the time I was on TV is when I sat on it.
The reason it's coming up too is what I would like to ask, and I was waiting till we came to this meeting so that there's no violation of sunshine law issues. I wanted to ask if Elise could email me her format. I've been keeping it very simple, and
Just a copy of what I said, my report from a prior meeting, and that way they know.
I suspect that he had a copy of such a thing and it became a public record that yes, you probably could get it.
I think that,
okay, well, so you get to Mark.
I'll send it to you.
There he is with his little,
I'm the copy.
okay.
The legal
That it is.
Well,
We
that's
keep-
a report. That's right. That's it.
So do we have a volunteer next time? Virginia, you do it? Thank you. Okay.
No, I'll.
Not yet.
You'll do it, okay,
Yeah,
good.
thank you. We still have a lot to discuss, so thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Terry.
Oh, yeah, all I did was say, I wondered why they.
Okay. Change my clue.
Terry, make sure they pay your bill
No, that's paid.
for the qualified opinion.
It's paid.
It's paid
It's
already?
already paid.
Thank you.
They feel
Hey,
properly.
say hi to Terry. Terry, say hi to Ed for me.
Okay.
Everything will work out. Okay, let's move along. Old business. A review of resolution 2009-14.
Well, I think somebody asked.
You did.
The chair asked that it be put on the agenda for our edification, I suspect.
I know I asked for this, but I didn't ask for the next big one. There's a big one, there's a
Oh,
The purchase.
You asked for it in February, and since I didn't have access to the minutes, I didn't realize it when I did the agenda in March, so I put it in there. I think it was you just wanted everybody to have, have it, so they could.
Okay, let's do them all. Well, the reason I want to put it in here, and I'm asking the manager to put it here as like a refreshing course for us, that we need to be reminded what are the charges that the town council put on us. And also, another thing about other requirements, are we meeting everything? So I want to make sure that we totally agree, we know what we're supposed to deliver. Any question on the first 2 pages? Any comment?
Well, if you could give an emphasis, since I'm new, if you could emphasize what you feel is,
You want us to walk through it?
well, I'm new to this, and I mean, I can read, but I would like your input. You're an experienced audit individual. I would just, not verbatim, but I would just really like your feedback on this.
A summation of what.
Yes.
I think this
A summary.
ordinance pretty much capture what we have been doing. It gives us an idea of what we're supposed to do regarding the financials. If there's anything that the town council would like us to do, to help them out in any special project that could result in spending money, spending tax dollar, they can always come to us, refer to us. So just like item number 2, B2, that to review the various financial activities of the town and make recommendations. So I think we are doing that. And then anything related to financial functions affecting it and recommendation. And I think like our name, Finance Committee. So we just say it's small time that we don't have other financial activities like any big investments and big chunk of money that we put in different accounts. I think on that part we are, like I said, we are very simple.
As an example, I think it was 1 or 2 meetings ago, perhaps it was the last meeting, you had brought up the discussion of RFPs. So I was curious as when you read this and your comments on RFPs and how you interpret this.
From historical perspective, the committee was requested by the town council at the time to review all the RFPs. Am I correct, Edith?
At one time, yeah, there was that request, it's not in here, but they did make that request, we have not been doing it,
And for whatever reasons that the town council might know, since we have turnover on the council, what I remember was at the time that there were some questions regarding their management when they sent out RFP. Was the process complying with state laws, and that's why we were involved. And
Well, we did have an inspector general
yeah,
report also
yeah.
on an RFP that was not, it just wasn't clear, so you really couldn't, it didn't provide a very clear basis for voting on.
For that particular purchase, I believe that the RFP wasn't even online. It wasn't even published. It did not exist.
Yeah.
Okay, so based on this document, then, according to this document, which is from 2009, this committee is not required to review all RFPs.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know
Unless
where
the
you
town
draw the
council,
line,
yeah.
because it says that to review evaluate financial activities. So RFP is a purchase, it's a financial activity. Even when we spend money on OG road, it's a financial activity. So I think if the town council feels there's a need, they can always come to us. Or if this committee thinks that it does not have enough work to do and request for more, I think we can volunteer to help them out. I mean, it's up to you guys. And Pearl, you have something to say?
Well, I was gonna say, since we've been here, there's only been one RFP. That was the banking services proposal that came to this committee, and they're the ones that did the interviews and made the selection and made the recommendation. I don't know if y'all did the RFP for the management company. You know, when we came on board, that was an RFP. Those are the only two RFPs that the town's done since September of 2011. We have a bid that we just did, and we did an RFQ for engineering. Those aren't RFPs. And Mark's working with the working group on the qualifications for the engineering at this time.
Request for qualifications. And for engineering services, it's governed by CCNA, so there are requirements that we must follow.
Well, what's a project, if I may ask?
Professional engineering services
Okay.
and other related engineering services.
Anything?
Just to have one, you can reach out and say, go to work, we need this.
I was thinking, even if you look at it, I mean, your charter basically says any financial impact on it. So it may not say whether if there's a contract or RFQ. If it spends money, you all need to look at it. You can call it anything you want. It could be a big invoice. It's not even a contract or RFQ or anything else.
I think that when, I think
Like
at one time, before we came, because we have the documentation, where that came to the council from the other management company about contract management, and the council had determined at that time, I think when Mr. Spence was there, that contract management falls under the town manager and it's not under the purview of the finance. So what we've been doing, the town council, a lot of times will, will say, take this to the finance committee, or whatever we do, we bring it to the finance committee. Whether the town council says so or not, the bid is we brought it forward today. Before the town council looks at it next week.
Well, since this resolution was adopted, let's not forget too that the OIG has come into place, and now we kind of put them hand in hand.
Yeah, and with the bid with the roads, that bid, development, the putting it together, that was all done in conjunction with the IG's office, and they've been intricately involved in that whole bid process, the whole review of the bids, your agenda packet tonight, and at the town council when it goes forward.
That was based on the attorney's recommendation?
Yeah, that was from the day I started with the bids. I took it, they reviewed, the whole staff reviewed it for me.
I think there were a lot of things happening since the town came into being. I think that the reason that this committee was involved quite extensively at the time is because it was like the town was at the infantry stage. Yeah. There were a lot of things that we're not sure. And then also there was some misunderstanding at the time among the council, the citizen, and also the general public, and also different interest group. And I think that the safeguard at the time was not as clear at the time. So I think that is why. And the other reason I want to bring this up is because that, especially like today's agenda, I think I killed many trees, and we have 256 pages. I think we have to come to the time that should the committee review all this detail. I think a lot of the expected responsibility of this committee would refer to the town management. That I think we might be stepping a little bit too much into Mark's role. That if we try to question every invoice, review every invoice and add them up, and it's not the role of this group. I want to remind everybody. whatever that's been, I just keep it in mind, and we just really had to, we think about our road. I don't want this committee becomes another bookkeeper for Mount. That the entry is wrong, the adjustment is wrong. I don't think that's our role. It's not our role. Our role should look at bigger picture and then to help out the management. Our role is not another bookkeeper or
So
another
as an
free
example,
bookkeeper.
no, as an example, then give some,
We're not here to police them, we're just here to give their
To safeguard.
opinions on
Right.
what, what should be done. It's their job to look over things and make sure it's presented.
Yeah, not us to tell them. Is that incorrect? No, we are not. I mean, we should be the most.
but if there is, let me just say this, but if there's an invoice, like when we saw, an unusual thing with rubber tire, that is something unusual, and that might,
I understand that. It's,
yeah.
I know it's hard to draw the line, but just have to remember that, I'm sure they are not, the management is not relying on us. I don't want to make as a perception that we are the safeguard for them. We are not.
No.
Yeah, I want to make clear to everybody, because when I see the agenda today, it's a lot of pages, all the invoices, everything, and it just seems like, that the burden is on the committee well, of course, we receive it, when we approve it to, in a big picture. I have to be careful, because they still have their responsibility, have their charges that we should not interfere and overstep boundary. And I think if you see something like miscalculation, all those things, I think it's fine. And like when you have all the ledgers, do we really need these things? I would say no. I don't know about that. You disagree? You think we should have this?
The ledger? Absolutely.
So you want to review all these things?
It's not that I want to review it, I think the issue that we had, and one of the reasons that the councils did appoint us was to ensure that the information is there, is available to the public. I mean, we're not only trying to, I guess I see it that we want the public to have confidence in the town's financials, and the only way you do that is by having transparency. And looking at, if you go to Wellington, I actually got on there, I wanted to find an invoice of theirs, and you can go right on their website and look up every invoice that they've sent. It's there for the public. What we're doing here with this ledger detail needs to be produced. It needs to be there, and I think that it's very important to have that. Are we here? I mean, I guess I think that our role in ensuring, assuring the public. I think also we are. I mean, it was my understanding when we formed the committee that we do have a level of oversight, because town management is a contractor. They're an outside contractor. And if you look at, internal controls, where's your internal controls? Council? I mean, they're their own internal controls?
We hire them.
To do their own?
No.
And no one challenges?
Well, let's
Yeah.
give them philosophy, because we hire them. Internal control rests, the responsibility for effective internal control rests on the management. They set the system.
Yes,
We
right.
are part of it to
Mhm.
to help monitor it. Now, I think, I don't want us to lose the big picture. I mean, if you think it is okay to review in this detail, this depth, I have no problem with that. And as long as we don't lose sight that responsibility belongs to them, then I don't want us to tell, hey, Bill, this is wrong, and Bill say, oh, I miss it. Fix it. And I think that will, I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
No, that's okay, no problem. I'm gonna be the devil's advocate here. One, I think the sitting representatives that we have sitting on the board for us have appointed this committee to be sort of a triad. They're running our government. They've appointed us to be partners of the team over here, but we're also charged with looking at what they're doing. So it's a triad. The government is asking us to review what they're doing, and they're hired by the same people. But at the same time, we're giving, like Elise just said, confidence to the people out there, the 3,200 people, however many people we've got out here, that those figures are right. I think without that, and I'm not saying that you would do this, but I'm saying based on what has happened prior to you guys getting here, I was scared, you know, where? Because I didn't have confidence in the person that was in your position. I didn't think the individual should have been hired to start off with, because he was a slick talker. And I just feel that we're of a vital importance to do this job, because I think that's what we were charged to do.
And the other thing I think is before, I just want to add on to what you said, if that's okay, because I think before we had a finance committee, the council meetings, when the financials were presented, council would spend 2 hours going over the financials, just trying to figure out what the numbers were.
Yeah.
And, you know, they delegated that to the finance committee because they don't want to have to spend that kind of time. They want to know that, you know, some people have looked at it and that we feel comfortable with it, and, you know, that we're, I mean, so that's really my feeling on it. But yes, I think we're doing their work. We're doing a little bit of their work because they've got an agenda pack that already takes up this much, and I guarantee you, if we said we're not going to look at the ledger, you'd have a couple of council members.
As a matter of fact, the council, after we came on board, asked that I not submit the whole finance packet in their town council agenda, that the committee would look at it,
Right.
and that all I would be preparing for them would be that activity report and then the budget to actual. They didn't want the rest of the documents. They felt that would be handled by the finance committee, and that they didn't need that information globbing up. Now, they do receive a copy of your packet, you know.
Right.
They can look at
They don't feel like
it, you
they
know,
have
at
to
their
go through it.
leisure, but it doesn't go into their agenda packet.
But I think they're more comfortable knowing that we're looking at it, and
Well, I think so
hopefully we're
too,
sending
and
them-
I think in all reality, by us looking at it, we're making them a better team, because they know we're looking at it. You know, I mean,
I take
no-
umbrage over that, I'm sorry. That is not
No
accurate.
offense.
That is not correct, and I take offense.
Okay.
I put people in jail for doing what you're implying on.
We
I've
gave them
got
up.
at least 2. I have that on my belt.
Talk about
So, just to summarize what I've experienced over the past year and what Carla has taught me and members of the committee. So what I'm hearing is, it's a good idea to have the information in the packet. What you're suggesting is we don't need to go through the small money, no, let me just finish. It's, we don't need to go through item by item and the little things. And this kind of references what Perla has educated me on over the years, is that you want to look for the big numbers. You want to look at the percentage of the budget, what is going into the proper accounts. It's not necessary that, am I saying this correctly? That she has really worked with me to make sure that I understand what I'm looking at. So having the information is beneficial to the public. perhaps we don't have to sit there and go through every tiny little item and stay focused on the big numbers, but I do remember Cheryl pointing out some interesting itemization and labeling, and it didn't have to do with little numbers, so, you know.
The reason I brought all this up was not trying to take away your job security. I'm glad that you all agree to what we have been doing at comfort level to everybody. And the best thing is we are free. You all are free, so that's the best thing. And then make citizens comfortable, taxpayer comfortable. I think that's at least we achieve a major accomplishment. I think that's very important. And I just want to bring this up and to reassess our roles. If we all think this is the right direction, I have no problem with it because I know you guys are reading it, although I may not.
Well, I mean, I'm like you, I don't want to kill any more trees than you do. But at the same time.
When I printed today, I said,
Yeah.
265, I do maxing, I still have 130 something though. But that's okay. I understand the process, and I think if you are doing good for the public to help out the time management, I think our time is well spent. So good that we get all our minds together, and at least we have a common understanding. I think it's important. If the town council could devote their time on something else that don't have to worry about financials, I think we have served their needs.
Well, then too, I think the other thing that enters into this was the fact that the town council was so mired down with the burden of getting the local government up and running that when they got the stack of financials, you know, they were ready to pull the hair out, you know.
You see what I did to me?
Yeah, I know. You know, I mean, the last couple of years I've noticed that too, you know. But,
It's getting better.
but they were trying to get the government gelled so they understood all these governmental regulations, and they needed help in taking a look at what we're looking at and picking over here.
I thank you for all the good comments. I think we didn't know this committee is serving so good for the 7 years. Good that we confirm our role.
I think it's good that this committee have the guts to say, hey, let's examine and look at it, rather than perpetuate themselves. I am here now and forever. Or, you know, to reassess yourself, number one. Number two. The other thing is, that's true, everybody's correct, that the town, it's important we have residents, because of your committee, they feel comfortable. You know, even if you're not, at least there's somebody else looking at it. It's like, I don't know what it's like, but if somebody tells me it's raining outside, at least I don't have to go on take the rain. But I think this committee is doing service, like you said, like Ken said, and everybody said, make them feel comfortable. And at least touch on it too, that if it'll be easy, I mean, if I know management can, if the town could afford it, to put it online, that'd be even easier for everybody to look at it.
Well,
They're online.
the documents are all online.
Yes, I know.
The town doesn't have the staffing or the
I know, the
availability, the
resources.
software
Yes,
to
to put
what
it.
Wellington has. We have discussed that at one time, and right now, the council hasn't made a
I
decision
understand.
whether they want to expend the funds to be able to put. But any citizen that walks into our office,
True.
the first thing they see, if they ask for, and Marge will testify, I will show them the canceled check. I brought them, because I think it's important. I brought every check that was signed, every notation that the council makes on their payments. And everybody, we're all into transparency. I mean, the more you guys review it, the better
better
off
it is,
we are.
yes.
I mean, we don't have a problem with that.
And
We encourage it.
I can say this too, I've been down to the office too. I mean, she pulled out every check that we even talked about. I even thought about it, she pulled it out. But that's what it needs to be, I think, and, you know,
Okay.
I commend you guys.
I
You
think,
can't get an argument out of us.
Yeah, I mean, right.
okay, the other comment I want to bring it up is on page 3. If you could go to page 3 under
23?
94 of 256.
Oh, okay.
94?
Yes.
I'm still on the resolution. On page exactly to be 94 of 256. If you see that under item 3, 3A, that the terms of the chair and the vice chair is supposed to be for 1 year. I think that at least you and I are way
We're way over.
over there.
Well, it does not say you cannot repeat, it just,
We-
you're 1 year.
We did that just in the last 7 months.
Yeah, we did.
We did it because we're following, I can't remember if we were doing the fiscal year or we were doing the calendar year, where even the new committees were started up and they appointed their committee members, and then a couple of months later, we had to get them to do it again so everybody would be in line.
We
I will
just
check
did.
back
We
on
went to
that.
go, I don't remember.
Do we, I mean, I'm not trying to hold on to the chair.
But it doesn't
That
mean
is-
that.
If you need me to make a motion, I will.
You want the chair?
I don't want to take other people's opportunity.
Well, I have a question, I'm not interpreting this to mean that you cannot
Understand
have
that? I know,
continuous.
there's no
You
term
could.
limit,
You could
it's a
have
1
it,
year.
yeah.
So I want to make it clear that for those who like to be the chair, I'm just reluctantly.
You'll relinquish your position that way.
Yeah, reluctantly. If anyone would like to be the chair,
Nice try.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're doing a good job, we'll keep
We
you.
know you have a day
Listen,
job,
I
but
try to make everybody mad to let you know that
when was this 1 year up? When do we need to vote, when was the 1 year, do we need to know the period, time period to be correct?
I want to make sure that, you know, we're all,
So I need to note the time period just to be correct.
We
And
think it
also-
was after the last election.
okay.
Pardon?
We think it was after the last election.
So would it be, so
A
then,
year ago, so we probably ought to do it again.
Yeah.
Organizational meeting.
yes.
We have not had that. We
Maybe
apologize.
we could do that in the next month.
We can do it anytime,
Do it
just, you know.
Ken's ready now.
Yeah, Ken's ready.
Just so you
Oh,
He
know.
wrote.
He's got Sherman written all over him.
Yes.
Okay. I think we know ourselves very well now.
Okay.
Let's move on to the next one, which is purchasing, procurement.
2008
Yeah,
dash 09.
yeah.
Right, this
Yeah,
year.
2008-09. Did we ask for this thing to be on here?
You asked for
You
it.
asked for
I asked
You
In
did.
February.
Long, do you remember what it was?
Oh, yes, it was.
for
No,
purchasing.
you asked for the procurement, because Marge, did you?
You're always
not-
asking for stuff long.
You know what?
You asked to be in the
Actually
contract.
read it, you see my. I did, I spent like 2 hours reading this thing, after hours. I stayed late today, my secretary said, what are you doing, you still here? I said, yes. I forgot what I asked this in for, but I think it's good review material. And every now and then we read it, you have questions. I'm not sure today is the time for us to revisit it. Maybe we could.
I believe you asked for it for just to review and general knowledge was your purpose.
Yeah,
I
okay.
don't know, I mean, Marge had an discussion with you. Do you recall?
No.
Okay.
Maybe it's good that it's in here. We could spend some more time next time, because I do have some questions. Maybe we could just do some housekeeping and take away some things that not applicable to us. You want to do that? Okay, because I don't think you guys had
We're
a
not
chance
gonna
to
have
read
time
it.
to do, so does that mean we're tabling?
Yeah, and also the reason that I did not read the financial, because I spent all the time reading this.
The detailed minutes.
You see that everything has a red ink pen on it, so, but anyway, okay. defer this item to next month. If you have anything we want to review and revise, because some of the things that need to be updated because of the new technology. Okay. Enough of that. Cost recovery postponed. So we are on new business. Approval of March financial statement. Okay. Virginia, Liz.
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve the financial
Okay.
statements.
Motion by Liz.
I'll
We have a
second.
Second by Cheryl. Discussion.
You want me to go first?
Of course, yes. That's what you're here for.
I just did want to say that I have the utmost confidence in our management team. But I do have a couple of questions and things that I would like to discuss. First of all, if you look at, this is,
What page is it?
okay, planning and zoning, 122.
122.
Under planning and zoning, we've got two accounts. One is professional services, and the other one is other services. And my husband has absconded with my budget book, could not find it, so I need to ask, I couldn't look up the definitions of those before I came.
The other was the addition of our services with planning.
Amendment 1 of our contract.
Right, amendment 1.
Yeah, okay,
That's
now
the
that
other
should be
service.
professional services.
No, we don't get to be classified according to the other.
What are you?
We're just other.
Other services.
We're just other.
Your other services
Other.
is
Oh,
greater
other.
than.
Actually, I think the request at the time from council was not to roll it into the overall contract.
Okay.
To keep it separate, so that's why it's broken out from.
Line item.
Yes.
Okay, and the top one is more or less the discretionary amounts of the council for professional services, planning and zoning.
That's the word.
Is that like
That's
Taylor?
No, it's, if they have like the hay ordinance or, anything.
ULDC ordinance.
There are
If they-
currently
if they
4,
say, additional
including the
services,
ULDC is one of them.
Professional
Would be
services.
anything that the town.
So 515310 is the amendment, the hay and the ULDC?
ULDC, the amendment to the comprehensive plan relative to Okeechobee Boulevard and Southern Boulevard.
Does that include legal and advertising, or those?
Does not.
Okay, so this is just,
Does
It's just
include,
services.
It includes the day property, it includes the initiative committee. So it's Michael Cirillo's charges too that have to do with planning and zoning for those specific.
but he would be, so so Michael Cirillo's planning and zoning fees get expensed here
Wait a minute.
and not to
I
legal?
don't think so, I think we've been taking them out of general.
I thought he was in.
Well, we put Mike's fees depending
You
on the
break it down.
category. The general matters go under general.
Right, and the invoices are broken down. He bills out per,
Let me look.
Yeah,
Cost
but I
item.
think when we budgeted additional 10,000 because of the day litigation, I thought we did it in the general.
That was in.
That's why we added it from 50 to
That's
60.
That's in his legal.
Yeah,
Now, this has got,
I'm looking.
I think we might have to clean it up. It has, there has been some check corrections. At one point, we were charged professional services. That's been moved now to other, I'm looking at the detail on.
Yeah, and the
Page
details on page
159.
159.
Right. It was, we charged it to professional services, realizing later that were not professional services, were other contractual. We moved that money down to the other contractual services and basically left, looks like work authorization 1, 2, 3. There's a project 092429, and some corrections, and the hay sales tax, ULDC.
Okay.
Looks like that's what's in there, and other services is just supposed to be us.
Right. And you moved everything.
I think that's what we did with the credits.
Okay, Okay.
It looks like it.
Yeah, I see it now. I was looking at that tonight, and I can't figure out which.
Well, I know that,
which, you know.
because I wanted it in professional, but if you go look at the uniform accounting system, we don't qualify.
Okay.
We're just,
Well, that makes sense.
other-
The other thing was, if you look on page, in the detail on page 170, this one, the only reason I bring it up is just to make sure. The waste oversight, which is in the solid waste, where, have you moved, contractual waste oversight, that should be the monitoring, right? But not code compliance.
we try not to do code compliance.
But we do have some.
Well,
code-
no,
that-
can
that's
I?
That's what was typed, it was, go ahead.
When we get the bill from the independent contractor, Mr. Shiola, there are charges. So when Pat gets the bill, if I have a $1,000 bill and there was $200 went to code compliance, to the solid waste monitoring, and $250 went to code compliance. And so what you'll see is her typing she'll put solid waste, code compliance, whatever's on the check stub and on the report, but only $159 of Mr. Shiola's bill went to solid waste monitoring. But his bill would have been a lot more than that. Do you s- And
So what
and
you're
if you go over
saying
to
is
code,
everything that's in here is actually Frank Shiola's monitoring?
well,
Right.
The code enforcement aspect with Frank relates more to manure than anything. That's generally what he's involved in. He's usually
Yeah.
not involved in
Yeah.
general code enforcement, that's the action, that's the
Yeah.
thing that's doing the general code enforcement. But because of the fact that we don't, the process for
I see.
manure is a little bit different. Normally we get complaints, we try to send somebody right out to make sure if there's a truck that's delivering manure and they're not licensed. As if we had to wait for the code enforcement vendor, we'd never.
Right, well, and also, just as a matter of fact, I mean, he happened to be on my side of town this past week, and he had mentioned that waste monitoring had missed a whole street or something, that he was checking, you know, I didn't get into all the details, he was just on that side. But as a point, since I do have a question, this is a general question, since we're talking about our independent contractor, did we 1099 him?
yes.
Okay, so we just have one contractor we 1099, because the rest are all companies?
They're all his, I think Frank is your employee, no?
Frank is a sole proprietorship.
Right, so
If like us, we're an LLC, and if you're a corporation, the town has not issued a 1099 to like to an associates, to the attorneys.
But LLCs do get 1099s this year, correct?
I think it's,
In this
That'll be
reporting year, so by
2014.
this,
Really? I thought in 2013 they were supposed to be, LLCs were supposed to get 1099.
yeah, but that's gonna be at the end of 13.
yes.
Well, a year of 13.
Right.
Yeah, it ends
Year.
December
Oh, I'm
December
sorry.
2013,
No,
and we do the
2000, I
reporting.
apologize, I misspoke. I thought it was in 2012 LLCs were supposed to get 1099s, but I know.
There
But
was
we
a
do
lot of
report
discussion about
Right.
it got yanked.
So, yeah, we kept getting a lot of requests, even though,
But I think beginning January 1, everybody gets it, doesn't matter if you're an LLC or.
Okay, so-
corporate.
so the town issued one 1099 for 2012.
I'd have to go back and tell you
Okay.
exactly how many.
But that's the break, just in general discussions, it's a sole proprietor or, that's usually a sole proprietor gets a 1099.
Well, if somebody comes in and does, we could have a small business, it doesn't matter, if they come in and do, like computer work, somebody comes in and fixes the computer, does a repair, if the cost goes over the $699, or whatever that number is, then they would be getting a 1099,
But not if they're a corporation.
not if they're corporate.
Right, that's what I'm saying, it's only if they're individuals or sole proprietors.
Except I think next year, they.
Everybody,
Everybody will get one.
because they're tracking everybody.
That's correct.
There is no privacy.
Any other questions, please?
That's it.
We good?
No.
She had a question.
I have a question on that area that Elise was talking about. Why are there so many charges for signs under Frank Shinola?
because it was my understanding that the requirement for the sign got bigger. So, the dimensions were changed, so he had to put up new signs.
Well, we had a lot of, well, first of all, we have traffic control responsibility. And there were a lot of streets that didn't have signs, missing signs, there were all types of things. And we just started to take a very bullish attempt to try to get caught up and make sure that we have the proper signage in all of our streets.
For 90 years, the Water Control District always put up the signs. Why all of a sudden is the town?
They got a better deal.
Well, only for the printing of the signs, but the actual installation was always part of what the residents paid the Water Control District to do.
I would say take that up with the Water Control District.
I don't follow what you're saying, why?
We only do the non-district road signs, you understand, that's what we are installing. There's not an agreement in place right now with the Water Control District to do the signs, the installation of the signs. We started buying the signs, and then we started putting up the signs ourselves.
But for 99 years, it didn't matter whether it was a district or non-district road. The Water Control District put the signs up, and it was only when we became a town that the town agreed to buy the signs at least, and they would continue to install them.
Well,
So my point is, why are we paying someone to do something that someone else has always done for 90 years?
I haven't seen any documentation that reflects that they've been doing that. If they did it, they never submitted anything to the town. I've had citizens that called because they've never had a sign put up on their street. So we did an inventory of all the streets, and half the signs were, some of them were missing, some of them were down. We ordered all new signs, they're all uniform, in the size and the way they're put up, and we went forward with it. The town council thought that was a good idea, and that's what we've been doing.
Yeah.
And as they're removed, or they're knocked down, or they disappear, we replace them.
I just thought that there might be a more cost-efficient way of doing it. I
Well,
realize that
I wouldn't think so, because I think if we pay our independent contractor $26.25 an hour. I don't think you could say that when you add the hourly rate of the district employee plus all the benefits, that's cost effective. You would pay them more money.
Well, we are already paying our non-ad valorem,
You're paying for
and they budget their time, and they had, like I said, for 90 years, they had been doing the road signs. So, why are you saying it's not more, we could go on, it's a big debate.
Well, I think first of all, Bill's right, it is an issue for the Water Control District, but also, if, you could bring it up at the council meeting, but it's definitely not a finance committee issue from my perspective. I don't think we wouldn't say to the council, oh, you want to, let the Water Control District do this versus, Frank Shiola, because that's not our role in that. And
It's money
especially-
expended, though. If there's a more economical way of doing something. All right.
We're not
Another
running
time.
those- We're not running those operations.
All I know is that the town has a finance committee, district doesn't have. We're more saving here. Okay, any other questions? Okay, what about the rest of the financial? It should have the budget.
Where would you go?
I'm trying to see the, we have budget, residential, bank reconciliation, general manager, detailed bank statements. We don't have any question on those?
Yep, we're ready to approve.
All of that? Okay. Good, that's a good
We
sign.
had a discussion.
That's
Now
too
we need to
fast.
vote.
Okay, on the recommended motion, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Okay, next item, so do we need to go through the other, like planning and zoning?
That's always just for your
No, it's
information.
just information.
I do have a question. Why do we still pay sales tax? Yeah,
Oh,
100, page 181. $10. enough to buy soda for us today.
Here it is.
Signs.
And then also on page,
What page?
okay, 181,
The man who said, don't look at the detail?
I know.
sales tax, is coming off from our pocket.
$9.84.
Not only that, what more, 99 cents? Yeah, on page 250.
I bet the next time I have water in that cooler over there.
What page is it?
Without water and cooking. I hope Mark will take the money back from
Well,
that.
look, I couldn't even afford to get it back buying.
Yeah, 180, $9.84. I thought we have an account with them, they should automatically take away sales tax.
The issue there is our planning consultant buys the signs and takes care of that issue for us. So he was charged the
He
interest. He
should.
tax, not the,
You should let them know, I mean, if we could give them a tax ID,
He has,
He can't,
then why can't we ask them to send us the bill? Send the time bill? I mean, just something to consider.
Because they might not do it
I know that we have the sales tax exempted, having a farm, we buy equipment, we keep the tax exempted with Napa, with all the store. They just, I can't bear, they just take away the sales
well, I
tax.
guess I would have to purchase the signs.
that's correct.
There's no way around that.
The issue is, in order for that to occur, to the best of our knowledge, somebody has to go with the card.
Because I see Mark's claiming mileage. I think we should at least save $9 to pay how many miles that Mark drives.
It varies from month to
See?
month.
Okay.
But
I hope that we could.
but if Mark
Well,
had to
see, if we
drive
could-
the military
I don't
trail,
think
it
we
should
can
cost more than
yeah,
that.
I don't think we should pay sales tax.
I understand, but the council is not inclined to provide adequate credit to the management company to do those types of things. In order to do that, he's got to leave the office and go down there.
But I want to say that if we open an account with them, we have the sales
Maybe
tax
that's
certificate them.
that would work.
I thought that's how we supposed to operate. I mean, we have a
I
little,
have to check when they see if he gets
Yeah, please.
he may get a deal from them.
We'll ask.
Yeah, I'll find out.
yeah. I mean, if you see
We'll put it on the next agenda, old business. We'll find out.
please stop it.
Mr.
Well, we'll
Chair,
find
I think if
out.
we see sales tax, I'll bring it up every single time.
Okay.
It is wrong that we are, if we don't have to pay sales tax, following our audience comment that if someone is don't have to pay, why should we?
I don't think we disagree. I think
Okay.
it's all a matter
I
of
think this is not the first time we discuss it, I think we should
having.
avoid future discussion by not having it. Please.
So,
Maybe we can do it over the
so
year.
it's not possible to issue a PO and just have them give you a dollar amount and cut a check to them?
The last people didn't care for the PO.
In any event, I don't think we should pay the same tax, whatever we want to do, is
Then we would try.
do it, that's so that we don't have to pay.
We'll find a Sino-Rom, is that who it is?
Okay. If you want to put under the old item, old business, that's fine. Feel free to be our guest, put it on.
Pardon me, what was that?
If you want to put it under old business to remind ourselves, not to pay sales,
No, I think
you'll be our guest, put it on to remind yourself.
that way we keep it at the
If it's your
forefront.
choice, okay. Let's see. So we approve everything. What about to review a bid for the gravel road grading that you asked to abstain? So are we on that item now?
Why are we reviewing this? I just want to know what the purpose of the committee reviewing is.
I think town council had requested that we bring this to you.
Not bad,
Yeah.
from the last meeting. But anyway,
Okay, let's.
it's here for you to look at. We're bringing it for basically informational purposes. This was a bid, so basically what you're looking at for it is who's offering the best price for what service. And what we've done is rank them according to the services we were looking for, And as you can see, the water control district got 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the 6 services that the town looks for. 2 of the services, one is going to, recommended to go to C for mowing and for vegetative removal through CNC loader. They were the best prices. And I think what was included in here were the sheets, tally bid sheets. And then what they submitted as the formal bid proposal, and I think the bid document got added.
Correct.
And the addendum. Can't be any more transparent than that.
Any question?
How about comments?
What is it on the under vegetation removal per cubic yard? Why is it such a big variation from $3.50 to $25? Is there any error there?
Well, we wondered about that. There's a number of them that are like that. Look at the same thing. Look at the road repairs and emergency callouts. Look at the district as opposed to all the other 4.
Yeah.
Even CNC loaders emergency call out rate compared, now I realize their 125 rate is grading, and I don't know how, I pulled out an old invoice, that famous rubber tire backhoe cleaning up, but then that includes equipment also, in that 125 an hour. We have to be careful there.
But that 75 would include the cost of everything, their employees, their fuel, their equipment, everything. That was in the bid documents. They had to include all those.
So the emergency call out would include equipment at 75?
Yes.
But yet they've billed the town 125?
Well, you would probably assume that if they were bidding a bid and they were going to be, if they were successful, they would be doing, that's a one-time job that was probably bid, and that would be his regular hourly rate, and he's come in with a bid of $75. I mean, the bidder made a decision, a strategic decision.
Well, but I'm still confused because, okay, and road repairs, remind me, what does road repairs include then?
Road repairs, if there was a pothole in the,
but that doesn't include materials.
no, because the bid requires that there would be a work authorization that would go with a road repair and an emergency call out. If there was supplies that had to be bought because there was a specific problem with a specific thing that they can't know when they were bidding. So the cost of whatever, like the coal, let's say coal patch, to fill, or a culvert, a washout, and they had to go buy something to fix the repair, that item that they purchased would be reimbursed by the town in addition to their hourly rate, which would be for their employees, their equipment, and everything else, their overhead.
Yeah, I just find it odd that on WBI and CNC loader, their road repairs hourly rates are higher than their emergency call-out rates. Usually emergency call-out rates are higher.
A big package that
That's
they
sure.
can give and take. And I want to make sure that they all understand our bidding requirement. And if Perla said that if they have to have used the equipment, then we'll reimburse them. That's why it's $50 an hour.
No, it's
No,
not
no,
used,
no,
no, it's not the
total
use.
ball of wax.
No.
If you buy raw.
She said the use of special equipment, that would be reimbursable.
No. The only thing that would be reimbursable is if they had to go buy coal patch to fix the problem. That item that they purchased for the repair would be reimbursed. In the bid documents, it says they have to include the cost of their equipment, the cost of their employees, all their overhead, the fuel, the depreciate, whatever they're charging out, they have to take everything and come up with their number. They were aware of that. They signed documents stating that they had read it fully and understood it.
Do we feel comfortable that although there's a big price variation, we still they still be okay, we still be okay. They're like, if you look at road repair hourly rate, it ranges from 50 to 295, like 6 times.
350 actually.
Well,
350, I'm
we're
sorry,
gonna
7
have
times.
to, we have to present the fact that the district does get a $150,000 subsidy. They could offer a better price. You know, we give them 150, and this is separate. and apart.
My understanding, this 150 though is for the
The letter road.
letter roads, and this bid is strictly for the non-letter roads, so that 150 does not apply to the roads. I just want to be clear on that, that 150,000, this contract, pardon?
It's not part of this.
Right, that's what I want to understand, that 150,000, the agreement is for the letter road, so it does not affect the road. But that brings me to my next point, 2 things. What I've noticed about, this rate is only good for 1 year. They can be awarded the contract, but they can renegotiate the rate in 1 year.
No. It said specifically, the contract was for 2 years, so if your rate was going to increase, they had to produce an alternate, and remember, Ryoback was the only one that came forward and said that our price was only good for the 1 year. After the 1 year, they would request that it be renegotiated. That was a part of the documents. None of the bidders, all the other bidders were silent on that. So, based on that, their prices are good for the 2 years of the contract.
And the contract is good for,
It's a 2-year contract.
that can be renewed for 2
1-year terms after.
1-year terms. Okay, and then the other thing, as you noticed on CNC, just as a point, why was it so low? Vegetative services per cubic yard at the Solid Waste Authority from their website is $4.50 to $4.50. So they're even underbidding what it costs to dump, just as an example. So they obviously have,
You mean CNC loader?
yeah, CNC loader.
He
Yeah,
he
right,
takes
yeah,
care of himself.
right.
He has his own chicken.
Yes.
Well, let's not anyway,
Makes it better.
but my specific comment on this is if it seems like the water district, like the town, there were some issues also as to if they satisfied, did they turn in all their documentation? Has the town council even been presented with this and asked to?
This was going on the town council for the next meeting.
And
They
they'll be
have-
made aware that not all their information was turned in, because the water district was short of 2 items in their package.
That's correct.
So the town council will have to give a approval, or what do you call that, waiving?
The council has the authority.
The authority to waive insufficient
Insignificant.
insignificant defect. And I think at the time we sat down to review that it would become significant if a vendor refused to submit it afterwards. But if the vendor, at the request of the council, says, could you please bring those 2 forms, and they fill them out, that would probably, they have the authority to waive those deficiencies.
And then my only other comment was, because this is a contract, performance should be monitored on this. I mean, the water district is used to doing letter roads one way and hedging one way. But if you're competing, you need to make sure that your hedging equipment is sharpened and that you're doing a competitive job. Even though they're willing to do it at this rate, it still means they need to be competitive and provide quality service. So, I mean, it's one thing to say, yeah, you're getting a great rate, but what kind of service are you getting for that rate?
So we'll do the performance evaluation that we talked about going on. I'm sure that.
We won't
We
come
also-
until after the summer.
We also required all the bidders to submit the age and the description of all their equipment. I am sure that whoever is awarded, and they're gonna have to require to submit, high insurance, certificates, and I am sure that the council will ensure that whoever they award the contract is gonna be able to fulfill the contract. Not only the best price, but the, best bang for their buck, and and provide quality work as well. I mean, that is part of the criteria.
And I would think that quality of work should be the top priority.
You cannot.
Excuse me?
You have to have the most responsive and responsible bidder at the lowest price. That's the rule.
She's talking about during the life of the contract. We
Well, I
want to make sure
understand.
the performance. Now,
Performance
you are talking
contract.
about at the beginning, before we granted award the contract. So of course, they have to be responsive and responsible. Now she's talking about after we
After
award the
we get them in
contract,
there,
after we award the contract, I think that Virginia, this is town management responsibility to make
Absolutely.
sure the performance up to
I'm
satisfaction.
sure that the contract, that, you know, the wording, the council will make sure. I mean, we're going to present all the recommendations that the working group had, you know, because Virginia and Mr. Harris from the Planning and Zoning Board sat and went through the bids, and Mark and I assisted both of them. But they had a lot of, you know, Virginia talking about the contract, you know, and the requirements on performance. And Mr. Harris had a lot of other, those are all going to be included, that'll go into the packet to the council as well.
Is it the same Virginia?
Our St. Virginia,
Actually, did a great job.
our St. Virginia.
Thank you.
And she had as many questions that day as she does here.
I have just a question on process. When you need, how are you going to administer this? Are you going to, for example, if you need road grading, you'll call the lowest priced person, and if they say,
No,
No,
it's
no,
a
no.
package.
The
Be
package,
awarded to.
Oh,
be awarded.
No,
Oh,
we don't think, I wish we could pick the lowest one.
No,
but what happens if the water control district is busy? What happens if they can't get there? You're not.
that would be one of those quality issues that
That,
Virginia brings up.
Well,
we
I-
talked about the rotation.
or
you
on
wouldn't
to
go
the.
to the second person on the
Well, no,
list?
that part, I believe Pearl had also, there's rotation or there's signing up. There was something they discussed about pricing.
Well,
No, they have when they submit the bid, they said that notice needed prior to commencement, 3 calendar days. So that means within 3 days, they have to come to do the work.
yeah.
But
So
Pearl,
that's not important.
and I also wanted to clarify, because Mr. Chu said this is across, you said across the board.
This is like a package, right?
No, I want to,
Is it not?
No, it's individual pieces.
So what I'm talking about, I thought when we award the contract to Luxahachi, Water Control District, we let them do everything. Am I not correct?
You're not correct.
So that means if I want to have the vegetation removal, $3.50, I go to CNC.
That's who they recommended. They recommended the vegetation removal and the dumping and the mowing as one grouping together, and they recommend to CNC loader.
I'm sorry.
And
okay.
then the road grading, the base rock, and hourly repair and emergency call-outs, they're recommending the water control district.
Can you go through again? Which one we select the control district?
Page 182.
Page 182, which is the ranking sheet.
I see it here, okay.
Page 182, and if you see the ranking number 1 across the different items,
So road grading, we give it to Luxahachi.
right, the
Raw
rock,
material, Luxahachi.
and they believe that those two items should be
CNC.
together.
Or
Even though,
CNC.
yeah. And then the road repairs and emergency call-outs to the water control district. The rock material, the water control district wasn't the low bidder, but they felt that the grading and the rock material went hand in hand, and those two items should be as one unit, so that's how they recommended.
You have an alternate recommendation, but it's not.
Yeah.
If one fail to deliver, does the bidding document allow us to go to the next second bidder?
well, it's not even if they fail, but here's a good point, that if there's an emergency that the water district is dealing with, and yes, you can call that failing to deliver, but what if there's an emergency situation and you award it to the water district and they can't come out? Are you going to? You with that?
I don't think that's,
We talked about a rotation system, but in that case, all the other vendors would have to agree to the price that
It's
we
no
awarded
rotation.
to be on a rotation level. And that would be something that every one of them would have to be contacted after the award and ask them if they consider, but they would have to accept the bid price of the water control districts, like for emergency call-outs. I don't know how the council's going to address that.
Well,
Yeah, okay, so the council will address it.
Well, I'll guarantee you that the water district, because of their logistics of being right here,
Right.
have an advantage on this bid in these categories that are on page 182. That for that day, come hell or high water, they'll get this job done, even if they've got to skip it grading on Road A and whatever road you live on down there, 148 or something. In other words, they will get there. I almost feel for sure they'll get there, because they know about it. They've got to do it. Here in summer. Well,
That's good, and essentially we pick the lowest one in each category.
Yes.
I just
Good,
said,
good.
okay.
Yeah, I have a question. What happens when town council, how do you handle it when town council makes a decision and approaches the vendor, I'll call them the vendors, and they say, well, no, we've decided we can't provide this service at this time. You know, we can do A and B, but we cannot take on, say, road repairs and emergency call. Then you do award it to,
Well, then
if they
go to the
decline
next
to
step.
accept a part of it, then can you go to the next?
I would call somebody, a vendor that does that they are neither responsible nor responsive. Therefore,
You don't go on the
anything-
list?
Anything that they provide is inadequate. If they come in and say, oops, pull B and E, F and G, leave A and B,
Well, I thought,
then they are no longer responsive or responsible because they've given you a bid, now they've withdrawn it.
well, no, let me understand how you're awarding this then, because perhaps I misunderstood. Because again, the road grading and the rock, I thought were one issue. Just hear me out. I thought the road grading and the rock were combined, possibly being awarded, and then the mowing and the vegetative would go together, and then, you know, the road repairs and emergency call-out, you know, would be a separate I was kind of under the impression it was 3 parts of this that could be awarded to different vendors, is the impression I was under.
Well, that's the way it's being ranked, and that's the recommendation of the working committee, that the road grading and rock material is recommending to the low bidder, the water control district, the mowing and the vegetative removals, the CNC loader, the road repairs, which was a separate category, was to the water control district as the number 1 because of the lowest, and emergency call-outs, which was the other separate category, was to the water control district.
Right.
And then the second ranking of these are listed here in order of their bid. So on number 2, CNC loader is number 2 on the rock material and the road grading. And then Sadar on mowing, Sadar on mowing, Sadar on road repairs, and CNC loader on emergency call out. So I guess they go to the next vendor, right, Mark?
That's correct.
There's actually 8 components, you could have 8 different vendors.
Right, but we tried, but
We chose-
in the discussion, they felt the grouping would be beneficial.
So you decide I was wrong, this is not a package deal. So you could select if
They
you
can
take,
select.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so then my question then, to continue then, so I do understand the concept. As an example, if you approach, let's just use the water district because I'm familiar with them, as every resident is. So let's say you approach, and it seems that the water district is in the 3 different categories, and they've got the road grading and the rock material. But if you were to award them the road repairs and emergency call out, and they were to say no, what would happen? That is where your response came in?
My response
That's
would be
where
that they
you're-
were not responsive nor responsible.
Okay, and then they could not get the
Then they would be disqualified
On
from
everything.
everything.
Okay,
You're
but
saying
I'm
they
just
would
trying
say
to,
no before a contract was negotiated, right? That's
well,
you're
that's what I'm
asking.
trying to understand. No,
No,
yes,
it's-
before, it's
it's-
as
Yeah,
it's
he's
had,
saying before a contract was negotiated.
No, at the time the bid comes in.
it's
That's
done
the
deal.
bid.
That's
Yes,
Okay,
I agree.
And if you
okay.
pull out, then you're not
Any portion
responsible.
of it.
responsible.
Any portion
I
gets
agree,
pulled
I
out.
think we're saying the same thing.
Oh, okay.
Right, you were saying before, not after they do a contract and then they don't perform satisfactorily, right?
No, somebody, if any one of them called tomorrow, or Locke said, the
You
water
were to
control
say,
called
hey.
tomorrow and said,
We want to.
we don't wanna do, we
Change
don't wanna
that.
do the rock. Then they're not being responsive nor responsible.
So they
No,
cannot
but-
be awarded anything.
Where I thought
No,
she
no,
was
no,
going
what
was,
about-
one was concerned about the price being low to begin with, and was it appropriate, like, did they just put that in to get the contract, and then,
Okay.
that's where I thought they were going.
No, I wasn't, no,
that's
she
their
was trying to
problem.
understood what I was
Yeah.
saying.
I agree.
No, I
No,
was,
but what if you award the contract to the water control district, and you call Steve up and say, we need such and such graded, and he has three, and he says, I can't get to it in 3 days because I've got projects on district roads that require,
I think we'd have performance standards in the contract.
you'd have to do what?
I think we'd have performance standards in the contract.
So that
You know,
would-
maybe they, I don't know, I'm just top of my head, but at 3 times, if they can't come at the time you need them 3 times, that's it. You know,
I don't think that issue will come up, because the reason why the water control district bid for it, because they got excess capacity. So I don't think, you know, that's,
I think what she's asking is, if you look down here, it says notice needed to prior commencement. She just wants to know, is that how long it's gonna take them to get here, or is that how long it's gonna take them to do the project?
I think it's prior to commencement of the
I did one
contract.
of the big proposal forms, you can look at it. The one I'm looking at is the water control district on 189 of 256.
That's talking about the notice prior to the commencement of the contract, not every time Mark calls out. You know, they're bidding 2 times grading a month. It's not gonna be, they're setting up a system where the roads will be graded, all the roads will be graded twice a month. But there could be instances where there would be additional grading for specific things. But they plan for 2 gradings of all the non-district roads a month, which is different than the way they were doing it today. We do 1, they can do all the roads, you know, they schedule them, you know, and they, you know, figure out when it's gonna fit in. But they could, I know that Mike had talked about one time at the beginning, he had done all the non-district roads. He had done it in 1 day and a little bit the next morning. So he was able to get through all the roads. And they felt that now that some of their roads were OGM'd, they didn't have that time to spend, you know, where they were grading those, so they would have the extra time.
You guys feel comfortable that the bidding document is clear that the town can cherry pick whatever item, right? Where is it at? I'm just curious, you have the language in the bidding document? It is such a big variation from $3.50 to.
well, again, no, here, I brought that sheet.
Where is it?
Sort of like
This
depending
is
on the
for-
bidders.
I don't know, where's the section that allow us to cherry pick?
For each tax.
What do you mean cherry, this
I
is,
think the lowest one, like,
Yeah,
Why
why?
not cherry pick?
It is.
Not
Yeah.
It
It's
is.
a low bid.
It is cherry pick. You pay $3.50 for the removal of the vegetation.
yes,
You pay $50.
yeah.
You know,
That
you
was
pay
the low
also-
bid.
Yeah, I
Well,
know.
but Mr. CNC Motor does his own chipping
I
and
understand
mulching,
that.
so he doesn't have to take it to
I
the,
understand that.
okay.
I will make sure that we have a bidding document that allow us to do that. That's why I'm asking Mark or Bill. Do you know where is it at?
Well, in the procurement ordinance,
Oh,
it
here.
says,
No, in the bidding document.
In the bidder.
Yeah, where is it?
oh, yes, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't
Yeah,
understand.
that's
If you
part
wait a
of the-
minute, I'll pull it out for
Yeah,
you.
if you-
Because it wasn't bid as a general services.
I know.
contract, It was bid as separate items.
I know.
and it's,
I think that's
Broken down on that sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were
Okay,
just
is it-
saying it was all in one, it was
Are
all
you-
an inclusive thing as opposed
Are
to.
you ready?
Yes,
In the
yes.
municipal proposal form that they each sign, it says the proposer specifically understands that the town reserves the right to contract with as many vendors as it deems necessary for the safe, efficient, and timely gravel road grading, mowing, and vegetative removal services. So they were aware that the town can reject all of them. They can select as many vendors as they want for each of the items. They knew that going in that they were bidding on items and the town was able to select each category, which one's a vendor they wanted to select for each. That's why they were giving prices for each category and not one complete price for everything. And Mr. Chu, at the beginning, when we started formulating the bids, at the town council meeting, the mayor was very specific. He thought that that should be broken up because he thought that there was local bidders in Loxahatchee and in the area that could do the hedging and mowing, and they could do it just as good a job or better than the district. And so when we developed the bids, we took that all into consideration. So these sections were split up that way specifically, and in the documents itself, they're all aware that they were bidding on separate prices for separate units.
Okay, if you feel comfortable with that, that's good.
Like I said, this went to the IG because I wanted to make sure, and Mike wanted to make sure they sat down with the whole department and went through our whole bid process with me. They didn't have a problem. They thought it was all in line, and they didn't foresee any problems in the way the way we had put it together.
I don't think there's any problem the way we put it together.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that they understand our requirements, that, like I said, because this is such a big variation, from $3.50 to $2.75, that's I'm worried about this.
I understand. I can't get in their head to figure out why they
Bid
bid
is
the
a
way
bid
they
is a
did.
bid.
I know, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. If they bid,
matter.
they gotta live up to
$50.
Yeah, if someone wants to do it for $50, that's that. If some volunteer do it for free, so.
Somebody could back away from the contract if they're losing money.
Well,
Then,
Okay, I think that's
then the hammer gets it.
That's good, if you all feel comfortable, that's fine.
Yeah.
So any more questions? Any comments? Okay. Yeah, we need to approve this. Do we need to take action on this?
No, this is just for
Okay.
your
Okay.
edification.
Okay, so we don't have to abstain. Sorry.
There wasn't any to abstain.
Okay, next item is rescheduling for our next meeting because of the holiday. I saved the date for the meeting. May 27th is the Memorial Day. So you want to change it to another day?
We like
You want to cancel it?
Not rescheduling it?
We've got to.
Well, you asked.
This is the activity of the Monday I'm looking forward to.
For that month, how many council meetings are there?
In May, two.
true,
You'll move it to the next day, Tuesday, like
the 27th.
on the 28th?
It would be the 27th, which would be a Tuesday.
No, 28th.
No, 28th is a Tuesday.
Oh, I'm looking at
It's April.
2014, I'm sorry.
She's planning
Oh, you're
something.
planning a year ahead,
Now
wow.
I have a calendar that just, yeah, they're the 28th.
So do it 28th, on the 8th? Okay, May 28th.
Be sure to-
Okay, I think we're coming to the finish line. Closing comment from the public. March?
Good meeting. Good meeting.
Good meeting, good. Bill?
I know, I think this committee is good, as functioning for the residents, for the council member, and also for the management too, for everybody. They feel comfortable with the, because I think otherwise everybody will run with them.
Thank you. I heard it from this group too. The gentleman next to you.
Kevin.
Kevin?
Oh, it's good.
Good to meet you. Meeting member, Virginia?
I think it's okay, I think we did a very good meeting, especially reviewing what the purpose of the FAAC is. And that will have an organization, but I think we did a lot tonight.
You did?
Yeah, I have a question, other than, yeah, I agree with Virginia, it's a good meeting. When are we gonna get our shirts?
Oh, yeah.
All we have.
I was gonna bring them tonight and I forgot.
Oh, okay.
I'll try to, it might be better than I give it to you all at the meeting, so how about next
Yes.
meeting?
Yeah.
We'll give them out, we're gonna be giving them out all to the committees.
How many?
You get one.
T-shirt or regular?
No, you get a polo shirt, you know, with the collar. Nice one.
I thought he had the tank top.
No, I didn't get you a
Well, make
tank
sure you don't
top.
pay sales tax.
Are we gonna
No,
sell
I
money
didn't
on-
pay sales
If he
tax,
gets a
we got
tank
the
top,
tax.
we're gonna save money on electricity.
Everybody else is yelling at us.
To look at.
It's the
You
principle,
say
it's
comment?
the principle.
No, that's it.
Cheryl? Any comment? Yeah.
No, it was good meeting.
Okay,
It was a good meeting.
thank you. Mark?
No.
Bill?
Thank you.
Carla?
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Vivian. You still here.
Yeah, very much.
Okay, not yet. We conclude, administrative remarks, reimbursements. Do we need that?
No.
Okay,
It's there for information.
okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
I'll say it.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
That's
carries.
a no.
Okay, so you will email Mark, and Mark will email me, and where it compliance.
And you'll be in all.
Yeah.
We've gone through all this.
What happened here, Bill?
Thought we could bypass that.
What happened to Sue?
Oh, Sue doesn't come to this. Denise,
Oh, Denise, yeah, where's Denise?
Denise is not here today.
Yeah, I
I did
did
it
that,
for.
see, I haven't
And
read
last,
it,
and last time she was not, she was ill. So I've done this one, and I've done last one, and one was all about.
Really
the
simple.
Minutes, so.
Usually I try and move them around.
You don't have enough.
You understood what I was saying. If a vendor does not want to bid a certain item,
Yeah.
in other words, if I don't have mowers